Hello, everyone. I wanted to go over a few things this week here. So, we are going to be assigning our first major essay soon. I still need to give some of you feedback for the writing sample that you did. I apologize. I've been having some eye problems this last week, but I'm working on those and I'll get them to you very soon. So I apologize for that. I'll try not to take as long in the future. Hopefully, some of those issues are resolved now about my eye. So, in any case, I wanted to go over some pronoun-noun agreement issues for Quiz 4, which would be due Sunday, right? And then just mention some things that I noticed about the writing assignment and some things in general about writing. So, first, the pronoun rules. I'm going to be sending you these rules more or less in eLearn. So, as last time with the video, please go ahead and open that and refer to it as I'm speaking. It will make it much easier to follow. So with pronoun uh, noun agreement, right? Every pronoun needs an antecedent. So an antecedent is something that it replaces. So if I said John came to my house, he was late. The antecedent would be John, right? For the he that occurs there, and they have to agree in two main ways, right? If it's a subject doing the action, it would be something like he jumps, they run. If it's an object receiving action, right? If I say I gave the keys to John, that would be I gave the keys to him rather than he, right? And it needs to make sense every way that you do it. So there shouldn't be unclear pronoun reference. So the example that I give you is John hit Carl. He was mad. Am I talking about John or Carl? They're probably both mad at this point. So we want to avoid those unclear pronoun references. And it does happen pretty regularly in your writing when you're not paying attention to it. Okay, and then, so we need to look at whether the pronoun is acting, it would make it a subject, or whether it's acted upon, it would make it an object. And this will control, right, whether you use like he or him. And sometimes the thing is implied. So one of the examples that I always use is, I like pizza more than him. What that really means is that I like pizza more than I like him, right? If I said I like pizza more than he, that's probably what I meant in the first place. I like pizza more than he does, or more than he likes pizza. He's also doing the liking. If it's him, then he's receiving the action of the sentence, which would be liking in that case. So I don't like him. I'd rather hang out with this pizza pie. One more thing that's confusing to students a lot is who and whom. Who acts and whom is acted upon or is the object of a preposition. So if I ask you the question, who stole my car, right? You could answer, he stole your car. It's the subject, John stole your car. But if I say, whom did you see steal my car? The very next word you say is, I saw. I saw him. Him is the object, right? I saw John steal your car in this case. So because I is the subject, John is not the subject there. Okay, so you really, the who and whom thing, you would ask the question, who does it, and whom, they either are the object or they're being acted upon in that particular scenario there. So that's the big one, right? The objects of prepositions are always in the objective form. So between us, give it to him, with you and me. So let me give you an example of this. And this is the one that I typed there. So this is straight from that worksheet that I give you. Sarah and I went to the store. In order to check if it's right, take out Sarah. I went to the store. Yes, right? But if I said, John went with Sarah and I to the store, it sounds okay when you say it, but if you take out Sarah, you're saying, John went with I to the store. We wouldn't say that. We say John went with me to the store, and it has to be the same way. John went with, right, preposition, Sarah and me to the store. So in that case, it has to be the objective form because it's the object of a preposition, me rather than I. So even though we might write, John went with Sarah and I, that's incorrect. He went with me, and it has to be that way whether the first item is there or not. Okay, a few more things here. Another distinction to make is whether it's singular or plural, and this is very tricky, and this is the standard written rules of English for formal writing. If it's conjugated with an is, it's singular. So everyone is. No one is. Those are singular. Anything that has the word one in it. So you don't replace them with they. You replace them in English with he or she. So let's say I was teaching a group of entirely females. It was an all-female class, right? I could say to them, everyone raise her hand, right? That's how I would say that. But if it's a mixed class, I have to say, everyone raise his or her hand right now, right? So it everyone, we usually use they when we're speaking to replace it, but that's technically not correct. It should be his or her, right? Or he or she. So the singular in English, okay, is he or she, more or less, the pronoun reference, if you don't know if it's male or female. The other thing I want to stress is that possessive pronouns don't have apostrophes to show possession. So if I said, that's my dog's bowl, if it was one dog, right, and they own the bowl, it would be dog apostrophe S. My dog's, right, apostrophe S ending, bowl. If it was multiple dogs, my dog's bowls, then the apostrophe would go after the S, right? DOGS apostrophe. That means there's more than one dog and they could all own one bowl, I guess, but my dog's bowls, right? If I'm talking about them, it'd be S apostrophe to show plural ownership. You could also do S apostrophe S. That's optional though. I usually leave that. My dog's bowls is, how we would probably say that there. I usually leave the last S off, but that's one option that you have there to show it. Okay, so what else? Oh, one more thing. This is the last rule for possession there. So, real quickly to reiterate that with the apostrophe, it's only there for proper nouns, right? Like John's. If this belongs to John, it's an apostrophe S. But if it's an its and it's showing ownership, like this is its proper place, there's no apostrophe there because its it apostrophe S is always it is. So the pronoun doesn't have the possessive apostrophe. The nouns do, the proper nouns. That's the difference there. And the last one, the exception to the gerund rule. So if I said an ing action and it's preceded by a pronoun, right? So maybe we'd be tempted to say, oh, forgive him jumping on the trampoline, or something like that. That's incorrect. It should be forgive his jumping, right? It's a possessive. So gerunds, ing verbs, running, jumping, sleeping, hoping, whatever, those possessives are used when you put a pronoun in front of them, if they're doing that action, okay? Forgive my running to the store right now. So those are the basic pronoun rules. You might want to review that sheet a couple times to make sure you understand subject, object, plural, singular, and then possessive if it's in front of an ing type word. And you should be in pretty good shape for that. Quiz 4. All right. Last thing I wanted to talk about today very quickly, the writing samples. Okay, so a lot of people chose the What's a True Friend one, and honestly, that was kind of a trap that I laid. That doesn't mean that obviously I would count off bad or anything, but what's the challenge of that? The challenge of that topic is that it's very tempting to gravitate to easy Hallmark card definitions. Oh, someone who believes in you, someone who's there for you no matter what, someone who tells you the truth, right? I didn't have to think. I grabbed those out of the air, right? And it even leads sometimes to people to write in fragments just like that. There's no subject and verb when I say someone who believes in you, I would have to say a true friend is someone who believes in you for it to be a complete sentence. So those are very common errors. The cliche where all of the papers start to sound alike. How do you make them specific with a topic like that? You have to choose specific details. A scenario that opens up to illustrate friendship or to demonstrate how someone behaved not as a true friend when you thought they were. The specific details make that topic come alive if you chose it. And so the reason so many people chose it, I think, is because like, oh, I know, I'm comfortable, right? I know exactly what a true friend is. And yes, you can articulate that and you're not wrong, but the paper will blend in to every other paper that's written in that particular way. How can you make it be excellent and still communicate something that is not the same, right, that everybody else is producing? Because good writing, it's not the same. You're bringing something of you into that writing there, something that is particularly you. And so I think that, you should consider that when you're choosing topics. The three things you would keep. Okay, so lately everybody was being super pragmatic. Like, I would need a knife, and I would need fuel, and I would need this. I think that might be a product of the pandemic, because when I used to do this 10 years ago or so, I would do kind of the same thing. People would be like, very idealistic things. Like, I would keep the locket that my grandmother gave me, or I would keep the tooth of my favorite dog. Really sentimental things. And now everybody's like super practical about it, and that's fine. That's like a zeitgeist shift, a shift in the ethos of the age. But it's interesting to me how that in particular has changed over time to really practical things. Normally, nobody is going to keep the same things, and there's very specific reasons you would keep those things. This time, actually, there were more similarities than I'm used to in that topic because we're aware of like we got to survive. What's going to happen when everything goes bad? So I think that is our era actually working to make those a little less unique than they normally are. And then what are you scared of? Normally, people have really interesting fears, and they'll get into it psychologically. So all those are going to be different depending on their experience and what they've been through. So sometimes it's easier, right, to not go with your first impression. Oh, I know how to do that, right, and to try and challenge yourself. Now, if you do, right, and you still I can do a good one, you want to think about how you want to introduce it in an interesting way. Is it a question that you're going to answer at the bottom? Is it an anecdote that you're telling? What is it going to be? And so if you look under course content and you go to paper one, that first writing assignment, essay one, right, there are some advice and rules that you should probably look at when you're thinking about the topic that you're going to do right there. Okay, so go ahead and please take a look at that. That's not going to be due till the 20th. And if you have any questions or concerns about what that assignment is, you have a choice, and you don't have to stick to the topics there. I want you to write about something that you're familiar with, but it is a narrative, which means that it is using descriptive and narrative language to tell a story, but it should still be kind of focused on something there. So if you have questions or concerns after you peruse that assignment, go ahead and let me know. Once again, that's under the paper one module under course information, course content. And please also let me know if you have any questions or concerns about the upcoming assignments. So this week is pretty light on assignments. We've got quiz 3 and quiz 4 by Sunday, and start thinking about what you want to write for that final draft, which is going to be 600 words, and will be due about, I think, September 20th on the schedule there. Any questions or concerns, please contact me. Have a great week.